Welcome back to
Yeah,
another video. El Topo
yeah.
Loco. Here we are with Adrian from No Counters, No Combos, and also myself, Johnny Tio, and as well as Miguel Caquias. So what's up, guys?
Here.
What up, man?
How you guys
What
doing?
up? Real talk. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, no problem. So today's topic is going to be top 5 budget meta decks. I know like one of the biggest things about Dragon Ball Super, one of the biggest draws is that it's a pretty budget game and it's pretty fun time. So I figured we might as well put together some of the most competitive decks that you can get for a pretty good budget. Our goal, I guess, in this video is probably about $100. Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so $100
Yeah.
sounds good. And so without further ado, let's jump right in. So first we have
All right.
Shenron. Big boy himself. So I would say that this is a pretty good investment right now going into the next set as well, because most of the
Yeah.
cards in this deck you can find common or uncommon and like non-foil, and they're all sense. And he's a
But
super powerful deck too. And the reason he's a good investment is because in the next set he's gonna introduce that Omega Shenron, and that card is crazy because it copies the effect of a Shadow Dragon in your grave. So that card is really good.
I feel like the deck every set has been getting more and more consistent,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it just keeps getting stronger and stronger until like people are gonna pick up on it eventually. That's just like one of the stronger decks in the
Yeah.
format.
I
It just
think.
lacks representation. That's the only
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think if you're looking at Dragon Ball Super as a card game as a whole right now, I think you can make the argument that Sin Shenron is like the only true control deck that we have in the game.
Oh
Like
yeah.
other decks try to be control, but then they just kind of blow their wad and they don't recover as well. And like Sin Shenron will
Yeah.
control the board with the 9-drop, and then if you let him get to 6 energy, you just lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%.
Like that 6 energy play, just summoning 7 different boss monsters, and now that we have
Yeah.
so many different boss monsters, like once you get to turn
Yeah.
6, it's pretty much over. One
Yeah, it's
thing
pretty nutty.
one thing I want to point out with
Even
this
if you
deck
don't even
is really quick. Sorry to cut you off, but I want to say that like this deck with all the new support, this deck can also pivot towards an aggro playstyle. So like an example using that Omega Shenron on if you want to go up the haze chain, you can ball on turn 1, and then turn 2 you go up the haze chain, you swing for 15 crit, um and then what is it, 20 double, and then you pop your big haze, and then you summon this guy, swing for 30, and then he copies the double strike. You can copy the critical or double strike, so it'll be 30 crit as well, all in turn 2, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not exactly like 100% sold on the aggro version just yet. Like, I feel like just naturally the deck wants to be more defensive. But if you can make it work aggressively, then yeah, by all means, more power to you. The only thing that worries about me, like it being an aggro deck, is he doesn't awaken until he gets 3 life. So it might be kind of tricky, like playing an aggro playstyle and then kind of like relying
Yeah.
on getting hit in it's weird. Like I feel like Sin Shenron just kind of wants to sit there and turtle a little bit. I guess we'll just have to
For
see
sure.
how everything plays out with set 12.
Yeah, for
Hey
sure.
man, you're talking to Johnny. He likes to turn cards sideways, bro.
I
Yeah,
love,
yeah,
yeah, if there's a way I can make this deck aggro, like I'm interested. So
yeah.
notable cards in this deck, we have Mechikabra, the Unison. He'll run you about $9 a copy, so not bad. And then you also have the Ice Shenron from set 11, which is about $6.
That's the
So
SR, right?
yeah, that's not
SR.
bad at all. And then you can play the Cell SCR, the 12-drop successor card, or you can play this guy. And I think this guy is really good too because you can summon him off the leader pay 6. So he's a really good budget alternative.
Yeah, and you could play him for a reduced cost depending on how many 1-drops you have in the drop too. So
Yeah,
you're not
yeah,
going to cap him for 7. You're always going to play him for cheaper.
yeah.
He's
All
really
right.
good.
So that's it for Sin. So next we have Vegex. Yes.
Boogeyman.
Boogeyman
The
himself.
boogeyman.
So the thing about Vegex is, he's mostly pretty much just a
It's
starter
good.
deck. A lot of the cards in it are just you can get from the starter deck. The only thing that's like pretty expensive, I say, are these two cards, which are the Vegeta Reluctant Reinforcements and the Boo Extinction Attack. So the Reluctant Reinforcements are about $30 a copy, and you can get away with playing 3. You don't need 4. 4 is probably ideal, but you can get away with playing 3. It's all good. And then Extinction Attack will run you about $8.
Yeah, it's usually like a 2 or 3 up. Some people play 4, but I
Yeah.
think 2 or 3 is a good number.
Yeah, for such
Yeah, I
a
mean,
sorry, go ahead.
as far as Vegex is concerned, like, I mean, it's tried and true, right? I mean, it's a starter deck from set 10. He's had success in what, like 3 or 4 formats now. He's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things. It's one of those things where we're just going to have to accept that Vegex is going to be the superior Black Saiyan leader until something, you know, happens to it, which I don't see happening anytime soon.
100%. And they can't just keep rottering cards. I mean, it's just not good for the game. So I know a lot of people are just like, they should have rotted the leader, but I'm like, just let it be, man. Let it ride out. It'll get power crept out eventually.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, like people like want to try to experiment with different things, but you know, if you're trying to build a graveyard centric or like drop area centric deck, and you want to fuel that, obviously Vegex is the way to go. Plus, he's a starter deck leader, so if you go ahead and you
Cheap.
errata a starter deck leader, people for new players trying to get into the game, like that just
Oh
doesn't make
yeah,
any sense.
yeah, that's gonna be a pain. But
Just so good, man. Burst
that's
5.
something else that
Burst 5.
that's something else that I was thinking about. Because people in the community are saying that Vegex is gonna get hit. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Mm.
I mean, you can,
I mean, I don't think it's gonna get hit. If anything happens to it, they might errata the sparking to 3 instead of 5, but or the burst to 3 instead of 5, but not gonna get hit. Like if they can't do that. It's a starter deck leader.
Yeah.
You just can't
and
do
they've already tried to nerf like the engine and stuff, like, or sub engines that were in the deck, and just like, I don't know. I think the problem is Splintering Mind. If you hit Splintering Mind, it's fine. You know, the deck is still powerful, it's still consistent, but it can't just burn your life away.
Yeah,
And
Splintering Mind
it'd
is
probably
a
take it a little
huge
longer
card.
to finish you off. Yeah,
Yeah.
Splintering Mind is, in my opinion, it's too strong.
Because
Especially
it's
if
a
you're turn
card that
2,
can
like,
self-awaken
disgusting.
you.
Yeah, for me, it's not even Splintering Mind. It's Reluctant Reinforcements. Like he comes out for nothing. Like basically, you just bring him out off the trunks. He has barrier, so he's almost impossible to interact with. You're talking about a 20k battle card on turn 0, turn 1, however early they get to bring it out. That's going to put another 5 in the drop area and then hit your time. It's just he does too much, and then bringing out Splintering Mind for 1 is just like the icing on the cake. So I think for me the problem is Reluctant Reinforcements, not Splintering Mind so much.
It's kind of crazy because on turn 1, if you open up that Trunks Overrealm, you'll mill 5, right? And then you'll summon any guys, right? And then you'll summon this guy off him, and then you mill another 5. So whatever pieces that you don't hit from the starter deck, you'll get off those milling 10 from turn 1. So like if you open that Trunks Overrealm, you'll probably open up the whole board too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
gang's all here. All right, but Vegex is so good,
The
and he'll
gang's
always
all
be
here.
great. So, all right,
true.
next we have Dark Broly.
Doc Broly.
Yeah, what do you guys think about this guy?
Doc Broly.
I have a love-hate with Dark Broly. Like when I'm playing it, I love it. When I'm playing against it, I absolutely hate it.
I feel that. Bro.
Like
I feel
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
it's like if you're playing against a skilled Dark Broly player that's just gonna loop their 30Ks every turn and just put bodies on the board for you to deal with, like it gets a little exhausting. And now that they like you have on the screen here, now that they have that new Demigra, that every time he swings, he's gonna warp a card out of your hand. It's just too much, bro. It's just way too much to
100%.
deal with. It's just and like Dark Broly like doesn't care if you deal with his board. He's just gonna go back into his chain. He does not care.
Yeah, it's kind of broken because like this deck has everything. It has removal, it has hand destruction, it has graveyard disruption,
Yeah,
and it
man.
has the
Ravager on
blockers.
turn 1, when you're going second, it's pretty nuts in my opinion.
Yeah, a
Just
30k
losing a
that
card
warps
right
a
off the
card
bat.
from your hand, turn 1, it's broken.
Yeah, it's kind of nutty. But you know what? At the same time, everything has like its checks and balances, right? So it really just depends on who you're getting paired against across the table. So that really also depends too. But I think Dark Broly is going to be one of the 3 decks from set 11 that's going to age really well with set 12.
Hmm.
Well, actually,
I also think the deck has a really I think the deck has a really high skill cap,
yeah,
so like that makes it nice.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's
it's
definitely
not
not
one
a
of those
deck that
things
you
you're just
can.
going to pick up and play.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Going back to what you were saying, Adrian, about set 12, there's actually going to be a new deck on the block, the Shroom and Salsa deck, and that deck, what that does, it messes with your opponent's graveyard. It keeps
Mm.
warping them, so it's pretty much graveyard hate. And so, what do you think about that
Sir, do you
against
mean
this deck?
drop? Do you mean drop, sir? This isn't Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, yeah, drop grave, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been testing against. We've been like me and my buddies. We've been testing a lot of the set 12 decks,
Hmm.
and Shroom and Salsa is really good. I like what they do a lot. I don't know. It just feels like I need to see more of it. Like I need to see it in a vacuum. Against the entire meta, not just like set 12 decks. You know, when you move into a new set, those first 2 weeks, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, new cards." But then once the meta like gets figured out, you're not gonna see the same decks all the time. So really, all depends.
Yeah, true.
So far, I like
Hey
it
man,
though.
Yeah, super
it's
powerful.
like for example, it's like everybody thought that Gotenks was gonna be the deck, and now like people are just figuring it out, and it's not as good anymore because it's very linear.
Yeah, how
Yeah, it's
unfortunate.
it's very linear. Yeah, it's
I
it's
love
super
that deck.
linear, but it does what it does really well. But if you can disrupt it, it kind of takes a little bit for it to recover if they don't have their pieces.
So
Hundred
yeah,
percent.
so this Dark Broly, the super rare from this set. Oh, another thing I want to mention. And then with the next set, there's gonna be like a starter deck that's gonna be um like a new print, and it's gonna have all the Dark Broly cards in it, except
Yeah,
for this Dark Broly SR here. So this SR is gonna run you $11, and then the Demigra is gonna run you about 35, which is pretty pricey. Like as of recording this video, he's sitting at 35, which is pretty high, but he's such a good card.
yeah. The funny thing is though, like that's basically your budget, right? Like if you're playing 2 copies of Demigra, you're gonna drop like $60 to $70 on that, and then your playset of SRs is probably going to cost you like $40. But that's your budget because all the other cards are like dollars and cents. They're not that expensive.
Yeah,
It's bulk. Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
much it though.
it's
But for like $100 for like a really strong meta deck that you'll enjoy
oh for
playing, oh
sure.
yeah, amazing. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start Broly at number 3. At the number 4 spot, we have Trunks. You want to take this one,
The
Adrian?
boy, the boy. Yeah.
Trunks.
So when I came back into the game after taking a year off, like it was like towards the end of set 10, like right before set 11 came out,
Hmm.
and aside from Vegex, this was like the first deck like I really dove into like the archetype. So what I will say is it's super budget to build. It can get out of control if you're trying to play like good blue stuff deck because a lot of good blue staples are really expensive. Um, but if you just take like the core mechanics of this deck, you could probably build it for less than like $70 or $80. Like it's super cheap to build. And the reason I like it is just because the leader itself is just a good generic blue leader. Not taking crit damage on either side is insane, especially like against red decks or like Broly. Gonna mitigate all that damage. Playing against like Reboot Gohan when they hit you with like triple feet for crit, that goes all to your hand, so you can kind of recover from it. And then built-in spot removal on a leader, just bottom decking a card is insane in my opinion. And then if you're lucky enough to get out your boss monster, which is paralyzing prowess, it's like a mini Gogeta 7, and we all hated that card when it was around. So
Yeah,
I just think it's a solid archetype. Like it's super entry level, it's super budget. Trunks is a fan favorite, so I don't think you could go wrong with this archetype.
yeah, definitely, 100%. I'm like reading this paralyzing prowess card, and it's got deflect, triple strike, and barrier. Like
Mm,
Yeah,
that's
dude,
yeah,
that card's nasty.
that's crazy.
That card's nasty.
yeah. He's like if you could get him out, you're already ahead. Like getting him out is a little bit of an issue because you have to go over a 5-drop Vegito. I mean, you do have Infinite Radiance in the deck who can come out for free, and you can Patara from your energy, which is like the whole purpose of the deck.
Mhm.
So if you hit your curve properly and you ramp properly, you can bring him out, turn 3, turn 4, and then he's not going to go anywhere. 35k, triple strike, deflect barrier, he's not going anywhere. And then every time he turns sideways, your opponent's got to ditch 2 cards. So it's going to take its toll eventually as the game progresses.
And it's also
And
I
limited
side
remember, I
note,
play
remember
too.
getting rocked by that card and block.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and then side note too, the other really good thing about the Trunks leader is he has an alternative awakening condition where he can awaken when he's at 4 or less, or when your opponent's at 4 or less.
Mm.
It's like if you're playing against an aggro deck that's going to just take a whole bunch of life, you can awaken with like 6 or 7 life, and then just it's value town from there.
Nice. What about this Trunks here from the new expansion?
Right. So this expansion card makes the deck a lot better. Like before the expansion card came out, you were forced to play the Supreme Kai of Time Unison, which is kind of garbo because there's a lot better unisons you can play for the deck. But this 1-drop here not only gives you a turn 1 play, which the deck was lacking, but it allows you to fix your life. Basically, you take 2 cards from your hand, put them in your life face up, and then take 2 cards from your life. So you take the Goku and the Vegeta that can ramp once they're hit off of life, and that allows you to go into your chain a lot sooner than like turn 4, which is what you want. You want to try to get paralyzing prowess out by turn 2 or turn 3, and then just play defense for the rest of the game while you're controlling with paralyzing prowess. So he's just really good, and he's a blocker too, which doesn't hurt. He helps the deck out a lot, like fix your life and stuff like that.
That sounds broken.
He's a couple cents, like he's like a 25-cent card. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Is the unison for this deck the Zeno unison? So you can ramp?
So it really depends on how you want to play it. I don't like the Zeno Unison personally for 2 reasons. The ramp is not permanent on the Zeno Unison, and also you have to be careful because if you ramp with Zeno Unison first and you flip your life, you can't ramp again because Zeno has that condition where you can't ramp again for the turn.
Yeah.
So I don't personally use the Zeno Unison. I use the Baby Unison, which technically you're getting out turn 2 if you're ramping at least once. And Baby on turn 2 is cracked because he's going to come out with 3, uptick to 5, draw you a card, and then he's infinite value for the rest of the game. Once you get paralyzing prowess on board, if you can neg your unison by 5 and just keep your counterplays be able to play for free, you just get a lot of value from there.
Nice. That sounds broken.
It's pretty good. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. That's wow. That's something I might want to try out because I'm looking into blue next set also. Like I just picked up a baby hatch secret rare. So oh yeah, you
This
can play
man
that.
talks so
Yeah.
much on blue, bro. He said he never played blue.
Maybe.
Now he's like, I'm looking into blue.
Maybe. It's only because I like
Blue is-
Janemba. Janemba looks awesome.
Yeah, Janemba's going to be pretty, it's going to be pretty gas next set. I mean, blue is like, I kind of have a love-hate with blue also. Like, I feel like blue is just like that crutch color. If you have like your love child that you want to experiment with, but if it doesn't work out, you could just always fall back on a blue deck because it's safe.
True.
So that's blue
Yeah.
to me in DBS right now.
Nice. All right. And
I
then
love blue.
for our
Johnny knows I
last
love blue.
pick-
Yeah.
All right. You ready for this one? Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The boy.
This is my boy.
That's Johnny's deck
So-
right there.
I love this leader. Like so spoiler alert, I think at some point before this video goes up or after, at some point along the way, I'm gonna I just played Reboot Gohan at my locals and I had just won. None of my games lasted past turn 2 except for one time against Miguel when he Zamasu my leader, but then I killed him next turn, so it was all good. But this deck is so
Damn, talking
insane.
that grease.
He's got to get the jabs in, bro. I got to get the jabs in.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that video because I go decently in depth. The main thing that I really like about Reboot Gohan is just that like he's such streamlined aggro and he's leader based aggro. Right? There's
Yeah.
not much in the game that can interact with like the leader. So you can play whatever you want in the main deck, like the leader will always get the job done, and that's what I
Yeah.
like about Gohan.
Yeah, I think I built I made a Reboot Gohan deck, and I purposely tried to make it as cheap as possible. And the cheapest build I came up with was like $28 and like 32 cents. And I got wins with it. Like I wasn't playing like anything expensive, but it just goes to show you how important it is to have leader based aggression, because you could just build your deck around the leader, which is really like what we want to do, right? Like we want to pick a leader and then build the deck around it. But sometimes the battle cards that you play are just so juiced. You're playing it just a generic leader just because, like, oh, I play this leader just because he's an untapped 2 leader, and then I just have really good battle cards. But then for Gohan, it's the opposite. Like your leader is really good, so you want to build, the strategy around the leader, which makes it a lot cheaper and better for people on a budget.
Yeah, for sure. And it's pretty budget, I would say. The Cell Kamehameha is running about $14 on TCG right now, and the Paragus is about $7. So and that's pretty much it for all your expensive cards. Everything else is like cents.
And you don't even have to play Paragus. You could play, if you're playing a mono green build, you can play the super combos from set 11, which is essentially the same thing, right? You just
Yeah,
bottom deck 1, draw 2. It's not essentially the same thing because Paragus has the floating 10k, whereas the new super combos don't. Like you have to be at 4 life, but in Gohan, you're going to be at 4 life by turn 2, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, another super combo you could play is the Nappa super combo. The
Yeah,
multicolor red green.
yeah, for
A
sure.
little teaser spoiler alert. I am playing 1 Nappa and 3 Paragus in my list. If you guys want to check out that video, please check it out. I dropped some knowledge on you guys, so yeah.
But
And
you didn't put it out yet, did you?
yeah, no, I haven't put it out yet, but I will eventually. Yeah.
I also
That'll
like,
probably be the next
to
video
be
after
honest,
this.
I also really like the Android 18 super combo with this deck, because if you hit him with that triple feet crit and then you throw a couple super combos at it, not only are they losing 3 life and not getting it, but they're also losing cards in their hand that they're going to use to defend. I really like the Android 18 super combo as well.
Yeah, that one is really good too. I was playing that for a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Also, really quick in the list, I am playing the Ape Seeker Rare, but you don't need that card. Like you can play Reboot Gohan perfectly fine without that card. Just
It's a
throwing that
win
out
more
there.
card. That's just a flex. Like, yeah, I have it, so I'm just going to play it.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, that's those are our top 5 meta decks. It was Sin, Shenron, Vegex, Dark Broly, Future Trunks, and Reboot Gohan. That's gonna be it for us, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Miguel, and thank you, Adrian, for joining us today. And that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, stay loco.
Stay local, baby.